Hey again, and welcome back to another video. I'm Films by Jeremy, and I'm stoked that you're once again joining me for another gear video. How about that? I got a few questions a while back about a certain lens that I bought, and I never really quite made a video on it, or nor have I really responded to any of the messages in depth, because I would like to save it for a video. And you know, like I mentioned, your comments kind of get turned into content. So if I see a comment that I think will make a good video, then I'll turn it into a video. So without further ado, I will be talking today extensively about the Sigma 10 to 18 millimeter f2.8 APS-C lens. Let's get to it. Why did I buy this lens? I bought this lens because I do lots of real estate. I've been doing real estate for the better part of 2 years now, if not a little more. And I've gone through a plethora of lenses. I've used, well, and cameras too. So I started off using the S5 Mark I with the 18 millimeter prime lens, f1.8. But the more I did real estate, the more I realized I needed a little extra width. So the 18 millimeter wasn't quite wide enough. And so then I went for the 16 to 28, the Sigma 16 to 28. And I guess what these two lenses have in common is that they are full frame lenses. So when I want to shoot in 60 frames a second, and a lot of times you need to slow down your shots for real estate. So I was shooting in 1080p, 60 frames a second. And then even when I switched over to the S5 Mark IIX, I still had to shoot in 1080p 60. The autofocus on 1080p 60 is contrast based, I believe, on the newest Lumix cameras. No idea why they did that. And hey, I'll be one to criticize Lumix. That was a weird decision. I think it really got me out of my comfort zone when it came to shooting real estate, and I started shooting real estate in 30 frames a second. So I'd use the 16 to 28, shooting 30 frames a second, 4K full frame, and would slow it down by 78%. But if I needed more frames or more time, I would just flick on optical flow. But that was not enough for me. I still wanted 60 frames a second. So then the Sigma 10 to 18 millimeter APS-C came on the market. That immediately excited me because I know that a 10 millimeter APS-C, so APS-C crop is times 1.5, so 10 times 1.5 is 15. Which 15 millimeters is wider than 16, so it gave me an extra millimeter. And since the lens is already APS-C and there's already a crop applied, you could shoot in 4K 60, and it's going to be a 15 millimeter focal range, which is incredibly wide for real estate. And I know there are wider lenses out there. I know you could get like a 14 millimeter full frame. I think I'm done for now buying wide lenses. I have far too many. Needless to say, when I bought this lens, it has lived on my real estate rig for the entire year, and I haven't really looked back. I'd say if I'm missing one thing, it's to be able to crop in to APS-C mode to get some tighter shots. As it's already in APS-C mode, I can't really tighten it up anymore. It's as tight as it's gonna get unless I zoom into 18, but it's still sometimes not super tight, and so I'll crop in post. I guess one of the questions that I get sometimes is that, like, how is the image quality? Like, because it's APS-C, are you losing megapixels? And honestly, I couldn't tell you. I Googled it, and I don't know if maybe, again, I could be a little slow, but I couldn't find a concrete answer to that question. However, I will say with some, I guess, empirical evidence is that this lens is plenty sharp. If you're shooting in 4K real estate, like it's going to be sharp enough. Like if you're looking for the sharpest lens out there, I doubt this is the one. At the end of the day, you're shooting in HDR, you're making your images pretty. The photos themselves turn out extra sharp, like super sharp. But at the same time, you can only export 2 megabytes of photo for realtor.ca. So it doesn't really matter if it's super sharp, it's going to be compressed to hell anyway. But from what I see and what I'm showing you on screen, the image quality, you really can't ask for anything more. Another thing with this lens versus, I guess this is going to be the comparison lens, is the 16 to 28. So it's a battle between the 10 to 18 and the 16 to 28. Is that this is definitely a heavier lens than the 10 to 18. The 10 to 18 is a 260 gram lens, where the 16 to 28 is a 450 gram lens. So the 10 to 18 is just much lighter. And when I do real estate shoots, or for that matter, any shoot, I try to keep my setup as light as possible. Hence, I'm still rocking the Zhiyun gimbal. I'm gonna live by this. Like, I did not expect it to be the gimbal of the year for me, but it is. I've been using it for all of my shoots this year, I've totally ditched the Ronin S and I've gone to the Cinepure Weebill. Besides the point, we're talking about the lens. My bad. Sorry, my brain is just, fires on all cylinders. So yeah, weight, it's much lighter. If you're using the S9 and the Cinepure Weebill 3E, you have yourself an incredibly lightweight and powerful rig. But I do use the Lumix S5 Mark IIX, the camera I'm shooting on right now, mainly just because it has the dual SD card slot. So if anything were to happen, I'm not totally screwed. So this is going to be a very quick autofocus test. Now, typically this is what a room might look like when you're shooting real estate. And so oftentimes I just kind of flick on the autofocus and let it do its thing, unless, you're shooting a blank wall, then the focus has nothing really to focus on. But it's pretty low light right now. I have the ISO at 4000. This is once again the 16 to 28 2.8, and I have an ND filter on. So lots of elements working against it. I'm also backlit, so let's just see how this pans out. So we're just gonna start off over here. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. Not too shabby. Now let's switch over to the 10 to 18. So now we're at the 10 to 18, and you could tell there's definitely a little bit more width. My house isn't really set up for real estate. Anyway, autofocus test. I mean, pretty good. Again, it being an f2.8 APS-C, you're once again looking at like a 3.5 to 4 f4. But I would say, like, just in general, it's looking like it's doing a good job, even though I'm not totally properly lit. So both lenses excel, I guess, in the autofocus department. And one downside to this lens is that it says it's f2.8, but again, with APS-C, it's no longer an f2.8, and I believe it goes from an f2.8 to like an f3.5 or something like that. So in terms of low light, the 16-28 has it beat. And vignetting, I haven't really noticed any sort of like vignetting or any sort of distortion around the edges, and if it is, it's super subtle. And now let's talk price. This lens is $599 US dollars or 899 Canadian dollars, where the 16-28 is more expensive, running you at 839 US dollars or 1,176 Canadian dollars. So quite a bit more expensive. If you're looking to get into real estate, or you're looking to shoot in slow motion with an ultra wide lens, this is the lens for you. The 10 to 18, you can't go wrong with it. It is also insanely tiny. I mean, look at this. Lightweight, small, won't break the bank, won't break your back. You're getting, 15 millimeters on a full frame. It's plenty sharp. You don't have to worry about that unless you're looking for insane sharpness. Maybe opt for a Sigma's 14 millimeter full frame lens. I don't know. I don't have that one, so I don't know. I don't know if it's much better or worse. There's no fisheye effect. It's just a wide angle lens, perfect for landscape, perfect for real estate. So do I recommend this lens? Yes, I do. Get it if you want an ultra wide lens. I hope I covered everything you needed to know or wanted to know about this lens. It's definitely something that has been living on my camera. If you're on the fence about it and you have a practical use case for the lens, totally go for it. If you have any other questions about any gear that I use, I don't know. What else do I use for real estate? I want to thank you guys again so much for watching, for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, okay? Subscribe to the channel. I heard that I should be saying that for all my videos. And I should probably say that in the very beginning. But you won't know to subscribe to my channel unless you watch a video all the way through. So if you watch it all the way through, subscribe if you haven't, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't, and I will hopefully catch you in the next one. Until then, adios. Bye now.